Minister, I want to start by mentioning the July provision that's currently ongoing in schools throughout the country. And I think one of the many successful measures taken by your predecessor was the expansion of the in-school July provision to mainstream schools, which occurred following the COVID years. And I think, I'm not sure if you have the figures, Minister, but there will be thousands, and I'd estimate tens of thousands of children currently participating in July provision across the country. And schools have the discretion to extend the participation not only to pupils with additional needs, but to all children who the school considers to be at risk of educational disadvantage. I want to commend the mainstream schools that have embraced the measure, and I think, the Minister, this scheme this year has become more amenable to schools. There's a great emphasis in the programme on well-being, wellness and connection, and I hope that all the children who are participating in the summer programme are enjoying it. I think it was a great measure to take. Again, I think it highlighted the fact that we have come a long way in terms of the provision for children with additional educational needs, and I hope to see that programme grow and that more schools will become involved in the scheme in coming years. I welcome the publication of the review of the EPSEN Act, and I commend in particular how thorough the data collection process was as part of the review. I'm going to start my own reflections and report by highlighting something that I don't think has been highlighted yet by any other speaker, and that's the positive feedback provided by parents of how they rate the quality of education that their child receives in their current school. And the feedback, as I said, is overwhelmingly positive. 86.3% of parents with children in mainstream primary schools view the education their children is in receipt of as being fairly good or very good. 87.6% of parents who have children in a class for children with additional needs in a mainstream setting have a very positive and see their education, that their child is in receipt of, as being fairly good or very good. And I think, Minister, in the area of special schools, 86% of parents said they found that the education that their child is in receipt of is fairly good or very good. So I think that's a very positive thing. It doesn't surprise me, I have to say, as a teacher and as a parent. I would have assumed that those statistics would be as they are, but it's nice to see them written down, and it's nice to see that they were collated and collected in a manner that was undertaken in this review. One aspect, though, of school life of the child where the reflections are not as positive is in the whole area of transition, be that children transitioning from one primary school perhaps to a school for children with additional needs, or the transition between primary school and secondary school. And I think, Minister, in the implementation plan that comes forward as a result of this report, we should examine this and try and define how we do this well. I'm sure there are good examples of this throughout the country where the transition is done well between schools. We must examine that and try and make sure that we implement it across the board. I welcome, Minister, the plan and the move to place the development of what was known as the Individual Education Plan and now the Student Support Plan on a statutory basis. I expect, Minister, that there are CNOs and indeed expectorates throughout the country who will have seen very good practice in the completion of the student support plans. I think they have become a very important document in schools. I think it's worth noting again that the feedback that 75% of parents said they had been fairly or very involved in developing or reviewing their child's support plan is very positive. I think that highlights again the importance the school sees now on the relationship and the positive relationship between schools, teachers and parents in terms of progressing their child's education. And again, just to give some of the data, there was almost over 70% of parents said that they found the student support plan as being helpful or very helpful, and staff really see them as being helpful. I think it's an even higher figure. It might even be close to 90% of staff saw the student support plan as being helpful or very helpful. I think one of the things I noted from the student support plans that I read and participated in developing, Minister, over years was how the plan tried also to link in with the other agencies who might be working with the child and took the recommendations from other therapists and psychologists and tried to make sure that in the targets in the plan that they were included and that they were implemented, working again with teachers and parents. I welcome the feedback from the report on terminology, and I feel we should be conscious of its findings. And I think, consideration should be given across the board to now, as the report tells us, replacing the term special with additional. And I think, Minister, we should probably start with your own portfolio. maybe it's necessary that we need to change the name of that. It's the Minister for Additional Educational Needs rather than Special Educational Needs. But Minister, we can make all the legislative changes that are planned, policy changes. Ultimately, resource change is what's going to have the biggest impact.
Thank you, Deputy.
We need more SNAs and we need more supplementary teachers.
Deputy.